Hello, everyone. This is Mike from Dimensional Walking, and today I'm going to do part two of Mount Shasta, high strangeness place in the United States. Um, this is part two. If you haven't seen part one, please go back and see part one. It gives you a little bit of a history of Mount Shasta and some of the other strange things that happened before I had my trip there. And I'm going to tell you an incident that I had there in Mount Shasta. So it was in the mid 90s, I think it was like 94, excuse me, that I took a trip through wine country with my partner at the time. We went through wine country and then we went up to Mount Shasta and we went to the little town that is outside of Mount Shasta and we went to the mountain. And the mountain is located in Shasta Trinity National Forest. And it's not that far from the little town. But anyway, so we got up there. It was actually the beginning of June, if I remember correctly. And it was still quite a bit of snow as you walked up towards it. Our mission was we were going to go to the kind of the base of the mountain and do some meditation there because we had heard all kinds of stories about these beings that were inside the mountain. And we just wanted to see the mountain in general. And, there was as I said in the first part one, there was all these UFO sightings around it. So, of course, being interested in UFOs all my life, I wanted to see if I could see any of the UFOs. So, anyways, we started walking up towards the mountain. And we were trying to get, within I guess it was probably three or 400 yards of a particular location. But we started walking across and we started getting into deeper and deeper snow, which was kind of late in the year to have all the snow there. But we finally kind of gave up on that deal to get real close to the mountain. So we probably missed that by about 600 yards or so. We could see it, but we couldn't really get to it easily. But anyways, we did find a patch of snowless grass, like spring grass. It was really green, I remember, kind of burned the eyes. Of course, probably burned because there was so much snow around it. So we went ahead and kind of spread out our blankets there, and my partner, she went to kind of one side of the green patch, and I went to the other, the green patch. It gave a little separation. So anyways, the meditation basically started out quite normal. We just kind of did our thing, sat down on the blanket and cleared our minds and visualized kind of what could be in the mountain, I guess. But just kind of clearing our mind was really important. And if somebody wanted to, somebody of good, entity that wanted to communicate with us, we were open to that. So, anyways, suddenly I was sitting there and my head started feeling like it was spinning. And then I even felt a little bit sick. But that kind of passed. And then suddenly I found myself in this small tunnel. And at the time, I guess I thought to myself, well, I must be inside this mountain, Mount Shasta. The tunnel was really tiny. And it was like it had train tracks in it, and really small. And basically, it was maybe 4 foot across, and I'm thinking maybe no more than 4 foot high. So I was kind of like squished in there, and it was pretty uncomfortable, and I was getting a bit claustrophobic. It was kind of strange, and it was kind of upsetting at the same time. But I was kind of amazed because it felt very real. It didn't seem like a dream. It didn't seem like it was in a meditation. It felt like I was really there, which was pretty incredible. But then all of a sudden, I hear this kind of whining or whistling sound off in the distance, and it was kind of above me, um, and it kept on getting louder and louder, and I was starting to get really concerned that something was coming towards me, and I wasn't going to be able to get out of the way. Now, one of the other things I wanted to mention, because I talked about it in part one, was the fact that inside the mountain, people talked about this light, and the sides of this, whatever it was, a tunnel, actually were kind of lit up. Not a lot, not real, but you could kind of see the tracks. You could see, up the tunnel a ways and down the tunnel a ways. And it was just really kind of a glow on the sides of the thing. And the walls looked like they were kind of glassy, which I thought was kind of strange too. But they did give off this kind of glowy light, which was really cool actually. But anyways, now I'm getting overly concerned because something's coming towards me, and it seemed to be coming at a high speed. I don't know why I said that. And there, all of a sudden, there it was, this tiny little open car, like a train car. It was just tiny, very tiny, and all of a sudden, something popped. It suddenly stopped right in front of me. Didn't hit me, didn't touch me, just stopped. And out popped this little being. It was dressed. It was, I don't want to say it was cute, but it was sort of cute and sort of scary looking. It was like a little humanoid. It just kind of looked really kind of dirty, a dirty blue color, dirty blue, and it had these kind of blue overalls on it, or very dark. I guess I just thought they were blue. The light isn't that great, as I told you, but I could see enough. Okay, and this little creature just looked at me and kind of had this weird smile. And so I'm looking at it. I'm startled, of course, and then all of a sudden, it's gone, and I guess it just kind of went back up to where it came from, and I never saw it again. So what happened was, and wait a minute, let me back this up a little bit. I'm actually looking at him. I forgot about one thing. I was looking at him, and suddenly there was this bolt. It seemed like a bolt of thunder, very, very loud. And that's when he disappeared. And at that point, I ended up back, at least I felt like I was back, meditating on that blanket, on that grassy knoll area, or whatever you want to call it. And I basically, again woke up and or came out of my meditation. And it was pretty. I was happy to be back, but a little bit of sad that I didn't have communication with this little being. But I felt pretty comfortable that something actually did happen. It was pretty incredible. So my partner, she had a little different meditation, okay, and it was, I guess we'll call it a little more peaceful. She ended up, and she didn't seem to go into the mountain, okay. She seemed to be out in the woods somewhere. Her meditation took her out into the woods. And she had an encounter with 4 tall, blonde beings. And they had gold jewelry on. Pretty incredible. If you listen to my part 1, I told you about the Lemurians. Okay? Now, the males had long, white kind of beards. And the females had these kind of almond-shaped eyes. But they had beautiful long blonde hair, and they all seemed to give off this kind of warm, she said, this warm kind of, I guess, charming energy. And they were very much peaceful, very peaceful, and just kind of stood there and kind of looked at her. Didn't really say anything to her, but really looked at her. And when she finally came out of it, we were comparing notes and some of the things that I had read about the Lemurians, and it sort of seemed like maybe these were the Lemurians that she had seen. So it was pretty incredible. And again, she also was kind of brought out of this by this thunder sound, this very loud thunder sound, and that kind of ended her, whatever it was, her encounter with Lemurians or what other beings, whatever it was. So I thought that was pretty incredible. So after that, we left. We came back to the little town of Mt.Shasta. And in there was a book. There was a really cool bookstore. And I think it was called maybe the Golden Bray, something like that. And they seem to have a lot of books and metaphysical things from all over the world. If you ever go there to Mt.Shasta, you got to see this bookstore. It's really incredible. Now, a little sidebar note. I was walking through the bookstore looking at some of the books, and suddenly, I know you won't believe this, but suddenly a book flew off the shelf into my hand. And the book was Montauk, the Experiment in Time. Okay? And I'm not going to go into it all because I do have a couple of videos on Montauk on Dimensional Walking channel. You're welcome to go and look at a few of those if you're interested in Montauk. But that started my new journey, which at that point was my new journey to understand and find out as much as I could about Montauk. And it was an extremely amazing journey, actually. But that's just a little side note. But if you do get a chance, go to Mt.Shasta. If you have any interest in anything I've talked about, go there. I think you will love it. It's an amazing place. The little town is wonderful. And do some meditation there. If you have anything else, comment here or send us a private email at dimensionalwalking@gmail.com. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.